Okay, well, I have notes. My name's Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Ooh, lively. Okay, so, as I said, this is the costuming on a budget. I'm going to go through, at the minimum, of 2 doctors, mainly 11 and 10, because of the ones that I have done myself and I know the most about. I'm going to give you the cheap ways, the moderate ways, and then I'm going to get into more of the expensive ways that you can dress as the character. And if I have time at the end, I can talk about 9 and I can talk about 4. And then the last 10 minutes is going to be dedicated to the questions. Okay, so the first things first, this is going to be the basic premise of this entire panel when it comes to the cheap side of everything. Goodwill is your best friend. It seems everybody knows this already. Goodwill, you can find some amazing things. I have one literally right down the street from my house. So I can go down and I can just browse stuff anytime. I've got this one and this. These tweed jackets are both my 2 favorites, and these are the 2 that I found at Goodwill. And then I tailored them. I made the sleeve shorter and the back thinner so it fits me better. And I added the elbow buttons. This entire outfit, aside from the coat, was Goodwill. Tie, suit, everything. Everything was Goodwill. Perfect 9 jacket, also Goodwill. You can find just about everything at Goodwill. I even found a pair of red chucks at Goodwill to go with my 10. I can't stress it enough. Goodwill is your savior, especially when it comes to this show, because mainly everything the Doctor wears is very, very either conservative, nerdy, geeky. You know, it's old-timey. Most of what he wears is old-timey, especially 11. And, you know, there are some other places you could possibly check. I mean, I went to Plato's Closet, and honestly, that's where I found these. These were $10 boots, and they're biker boots, and they had metal studs in them, and then I just took Gorilla Tape and I covered it up, and they work great. They're really comfortable, and they work exactly for what I need them for. Because that's also another good one, is Salvation Army. And, I mean, 11 only changes his boots once, and it's near the end of his show, which I'm still sore about. But more moderately cheap ways that you could do 11 is, I know a great person on Etsy. Etsy is another good place to find jackets, you know, bow ties, miscellaneous things. I know a sweet lady on Etsy. Her username is Director's Cabin. She makes amazing bow ties. This is where I got mine. This one's my favorite. She hand makes these, prints them out, sews them, does it all herself. Granted, it takes a little while because she does it all by hand. So it takes a little while for her to get around to it. It took mine maybe 2 weeks, and I had it for what I needed. And I love them. She has all the styles, and she told me that she's going to start doing 10 ties, neckties. And if they're as good as these, I can't recommend her enough. There are eBay shops that are for costuming, and they sell bunches of stuff from Doctor Who. I've seen 10 suits, you know, coats, and they usually range from about maybe $100 to $150, which isn't ridiculously expensive, but it's not cheap either. So it's kind of in the middle. And that is where I found my coat. This is my favorite coat. I've had this coat for 5 years. You can ask some people, because I've seen some of these faces before, I wear this to school almost every day. They custom tailor it just for you. It falls just at the right place. This, like the bow ties, I can't recommend this enough. It's the only downside is that it's not, you know, it's not a camel hair. David's coat was made out of, it was a camel hair blend, so it was really tough. This is wool, but the downside about this one is that, as you can see, through 4 and 5 years of wear, it's starting to fall apart. So I'm going to have to replace it soon. But I love these coats. And since we're on the subject of coats, this coat, take a guess.
Goodwill.
Goodwill. That's exactly where it is. And while I'm also on the subject, this coat, it's not perfect in any shape or form. It's not near long enough, but it can work for what you need it to, because there is a part in season 6 where the Doctor trades his tweed jacket in for a green one. This could work. This is a $30 jacket. I've found it on eBay. It's really good and it's really sturdy. Whether you're doing 11, 10, 9, any of the Doctors, there is one thing that you absolutely must have. Even if you're your own Doctor, you have to have one of these.
Yep.
Doesn't matter which one, blue, green, doesn't matter the color. Silver, you can have the bullet one, doesn't matter. As long as you have one of these and it does this,
Yep.
people will automatically know who you are, no matter how you're dressed. It also helps if you wear one of these, because most of this generation recognizes Matt Smith. So if you wear a bow tie, most people are probably going to know who you are. Okay, bow tie. All right, I'm going to get into a bit of the more expensive ways, just for 11 for now, and then I'll get on to 10 in a minute. But you know, there are really expensive ways. The good thing about the 11th Doctor's costume, at least the first one, is that it's all real clothes. Nothing was specially made for him. You can, if you're really lucky, you can find that exact outfit. He had Levi jeans. He had All Saints boots that were layered, and supposedly he still has them. He had a Harris tweed jacket, Paul Smith shirt. The only thing about his whole entire outfit that was altered is that the Paul Smith shirt was a short sleeve button down, and they had to find another one, cut it up, and add sleeves to it. Shirts like this are great for it. His first shirt was a white shirt with a red tint to it, and he wore it with a burgundy bow tie, black jeans, boots, and a tweed jacket. It's one of the simplest costumes you could probably ever pick. And I mean, you could probably go to Goodwill and one day pick out the whole entire outfit, including the jeans, and probably not spend more than 25 bucks. It's really simple. And this is my favorite shirt. It's sort of a brownish reddish color, and his original shirt had 4 red stripes on the cuff. And I like to do little details. But I mean, there are places like the store online called Abbey Shot. Abbey Shot makes replicas of both the 10th Doctor and all the 11th Doctor's coats. Those are the most expensive I've ever found. They run for about, depending on which one you pick, $300 to $400. I am very broke. I can't afford it, so I don't know if I can recommend it to you guys. But I know that the 11 at Team TARDIS has a purple Abbey Shot coat, and if you want to ask her about it, I'm pretty sure she'd be okay with it, and she'd probably recommend it. But for now, Goodwill pleases me fine, and it doesn't break my bank. So there are other things that you can get for 11. Found this on the rack at Goodwill. It's a little card wallet. You can hold things in it. I put a piece of paper in there, and I wrote the Doctor's signature in there. It works great. You can leave it blank. It's perfect for psychic paper. And these things are really cheap. You can $3. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna move on to 10. I think I've said just about all as much as I should about 11. 10's costume is a lot harder to replicate. 10's David Tennant's costume for his 10th Doctor, both brown and blue suits, were both custom made for him. The only real thing about his outfit are these. And the story behind that is that those are actually David Tennant's Chucks that he wore in college. That's why they were white and now they're yellow, because they're that old. And he graciously put them in the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff. They are under display with the rest of his costume. But the hard part about 10 is that it was custom made for him. Now it's different that you can, for instance, you can find something like this. You can find this works really well. You can just find a regular brown pinstripe suit. The really hard thing about David Tennant's outfit is that his wasn't just regular pinstripe. His was pinstriped with blue. And that's just for his brown suit. His blue suit was pinstriped with maroon stripes. And that's really unique. And it's also really hard to replicate. I've ruined a good 3 of these suits trying to hand paint blue stripes onto this. It doesn't work easy. It really doesn't. If you're really good about it, maybe if you can find something like maybe puff paint that has a good small nozzle to it, I mean, you may be able to do it over time, but the main thing, if you're doing something like that, definitely don't rush it. Don't rush it. But David had 2 suits. It was brown and blue, and his coat was also custom made for him. And so where most of his ties, some of his ties, weren't custom made. As a matter of fact, just for bragging rights, this is my favorite necktie, and it just so happens to be the exact same one that David Tennant wore when I think it was episode 5 of season 2. This is the exact same one, made by the exact same people. He wears Giorgio ties. That one would be brown with the blue squares on it. I think that was in the Utopia episode. And that one's for real, this one's for real. There are a couple ones that were actually real. But the swirly tie, the one that he's really most known for, the one he wore in his last episode, and the one that he wore in the season finale to season 3. Those are the most well-known ones that he's worn. And I've tried to replicate that one too. It's not easy. Paint does not like to stick to these ties, and when they do, it makes them stiff as a rock. So when it comes to ties, there's a guy called Indy Magnoli. His ties are pretty cheap for how durable they are. I have 2 of them. And you can find him on eBay. He has his own website. His ties usually run for about $20 to $30. And they're all pre-made, so they get there pretty quick. And I recommend him for ties and even some shirts, because he makes exact replicas of 11 and 10, both their shirts. And those are a bit more expensive. I don't know why anybody would really spend around $200 to $300 on a shirt, but you know, it's an exact replica made from the same fabric and everything. I mean, if you've got that kind of dough to spend and you're that much of a perfectionist, I'd recommend it, but I mean, that's a lot of money. But he is really good for ties, and also really good for shirts if you've got the money for it. Moderate ways that you can do 10. Like I said before, there are sites on eBay where you can find both of his suits, and they run for pretty cheap. They're maybe about $100, maybe. And I mean, they're decent. They're good suits. I wouldn't wear them every day because it's much like this coat. They're gonna fall apart over time. But I mean, this is falling apart maybe only in 2 places throughout 5 years. And if you know some basic sewing techniques, it'll work it for you. So they recently, the site that I got that from, recently updated their design, and now it is more of a camel blend like David's coat actually is, and it's the same price. So I would recommend looking on eBay soon if you plan on doing 10 anytime soon. because they run for maybe about $100 to $120, and if they're made the same way this one was made, that'd be really, really good. Like the guy I was talking about before, Indy, he makes tin suits as well. He makes the suits. Like I said before, his stuff is a bit more heavily priced. His run for about $500 to about $600. And if, I've heard good things about them, so I would assume that they are very good if you have money for it. But they're very accurate. And he has the shirts, the suits, he makes the coats. That's the most expensive thing on his site, ironically, is the tin coat. And the tin coat runs you about $1,500, which I can't say, I couldn't recommend that to anybody really, because that's way more money than I would expect to spend on articles of clothing, unless David Tennant wore it. I don't know if I want to spend $1,500 on a coat. But there's another site called Baron Boutique. They also do tin suits if you're looking for tin. Theirs are a bit cheaper. They're back in the maybe $150 to $200 range. They're the ones that I hear the most about. I don't have one because I love this suit. I found this at Goodwill, and it was like it was tailor-made for me. It fits me beautifully. The only thing I had to do with it would be add another button up here, because David has 4 buttons, and the top one and the second one is closed. Most of, if not all, the time. But Baron Boutique is one that I hear highly recommended from other people who dress from Doctor Who. And Abbey Shot makes tin coats. They're back in the $300 to $400 range, but again, I've heard very good things about them, and it's a lot cheaper than $1,000. Just saying. But I've heard some pretty good things about all of them, and it just comes from different ranges for whatever you have the money for. And I am mostly here to talk about the cheap side. You don't necessarily have to have a bunch of money to dress for this show. I have zero. I just got out of high school. And I have 3 suits, 2 tweed jackets, 4 of these shirts. As a matter of fact, I have another one right here. This is my second favorite one. It is just a regular old American Eagle button-down shirt that I found at Goodwill. It was maybe $3, and it works great with my lighter colored jacket. And I can't stress it enough that Goodwill would definitely be your best friend, no matter how you look at it, because you can find anything from shoes to coats. It's really a savior. And I mean, oh shoot. Sorry, I have my buttons on there that says "Keep calm, I'm the doctor." But it's really a saving grace, is Goodwills and thrift shops and Salvation Army. And honestly, you really want to hit it big and have an authentic look for you, hit up your grandparents, especially when it comes to 11. This is my granddad's jacket. This was the first one I wore. It had elbow pads. It worked great for me. It's not tweed, it's corduroy, but I mean, it worked for what I needed it for. And it's great. And I mean, it's really, really important that you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to bring up the Doctor, or anybody from Doctor Who, because most, if not all, characters from Doctor Who, the human ones anyway, wear normal clothes. So if you can just find normal clothes that look like them, there's no point in spending $1,000 to $2,000 on a suit or a coat. It's really about being thrifty and keeping a weather eye out for what you needed. I mean, there was something that came in my mailbox just a couple of while ago. This is the ultimate guide to time travel. Guess who's on the front? It's 11. I know it's all shiny, but this thing has about maybe 15 to 20 pages of just shots from behind the scene from the show. They're great for reference shots. That's another thing that you need to really keep in mind is reference shots. If you want to find the good thing, if you have a smartphone or a tablet like I do, I have an iPad, go on the internet. There are a bunch of promo pictures before every season. Find your favorite look. Keep that image. Take your tablet with you to Goodwill or Salvation Army and match it up. That's what I did for this. I had the suit, or I had the coat. I brought the coat with me. I color matched this, and it matches just about near perfect. It is very near perfect, to me anyway. But it matches great. Even if you hung this up, nobody has to wear it. You can hang this up in front of your door to your room. And if you have a friend coming over who's also seen the show, they'll know exactly what it is. It's in all this, Goodwill. It's important. I know, I'm drooling it, I'm rambling about it, but it's important. It's really important. There's another expensive route that you can go for both. One that I don't particularly like talking about, but I'm going to anyway for your sake. This guy's gonna be my little model here. I made this. I made 3 of these before I got it right. The last option, when it comes to the expensive pile, you can hand make it yourself, which I don't know if I would recommend if you're not that experienced, especially when it comes to making suits, because they're very, very complicated and detailed. I've tried to take one apart and put it back together. Didn't work out well, but you can try your best because another Indy, the guy I've been talking about, the expensive chap, also just regularly sells the fabric. Often just sells the fabric. He has the fabric for the Doctor's purple jacket that he wore in season 5. He has the fabric for David's suits, both of them, brown and blue, and they run for about 30 bucks a yard. It's a much cheaper solution, but it's much more time consuming and also much more difficult. But if you're up to the challenge, I mean, it's cheaper, so I mean, I could recommend it. The only thing why I put this in the expensive category is because it's time consuming and it's difficult. And if you don't have patterns to work from, like I didn't, it might not work out to your benefit. But I mean, it could work. It could work. There are miscellaneous things that can also help you be identified as the Doctor that are easy to get. Like I said, psychic paper, sonic screwdriver is a definite. They run for about $15 to $20. I got mine at Barnes & Noble. They have a little stand of Doctor Who stuff and memorabilia. Mine was about 25 bucks. I mean, it's really good. This is probably the best one they have. There was a universal remote that came out in Britain that is all metal and does exactly this. So the fun part about the universal remote is that, Matt flicks his open. You can do that with that one, and this one's a button. But, I mean, they're both good. They're both good. Another cheap thing, chucks. I lost these one year. I've been wearing these for about 4 years. You can tell how dirty they are. And just in case they ever got lost, I have the Doctor written on the tongue so they know who to return it to. Also, a funny story, David also did that because it was copyright infringement for them to have the Chuck Taylor Converse logo on the shoes. So they sandpapered off the logo on the side, and on the tag on the inside, he wrote the Doctor. So I thought that was really funny. But other people I can talk about. 9, the 9th Doctor, also really easy to do. The 9th Doctor is black pants, jeans, I think. They're black jeans, black pants. I think he even wore regular jeans one time. But he wears dark pants, dark leather jacket, V-neck. Red, blue V-neck. 9 is very, very easy, and he wears boots just like this. They're really easy. He's also really easy to do. One of the more complicated doctors, it's actually a funny story because the doctors get harder as we go back in time. One of the most hard and difficult doctors to dress up as, which I condemn this lady for doing. I commend, sorry, not condemned. That'd be bad.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I commend you. 4. 4 is probably most likely the most difficult doctor to dress as.
I put this together in a week.
It's definitely not easy, and it got easier as they started selling replicas of his scarf. That's the hardest part, is getting a scarf. This
really
one.
lucky and found a woman on eBay
Oh, yeah.
who makes these. And since I was doing a girly version, she makes 2-inch wide ones. And
Thinner
it's
ones, yeah.
girlier. And it was cheaper than the replicas that are like acrylic.
Yeah. That's the one thing I didn't.
17 feet long,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. The story behind Tom Baker's scarf is that they gave a truckload of wool to the costume designer of the show, and the lady was a bit older and a bit mistaken when she received the truckload of wool, and she used every single skein and made a 13 to 14 foot scarf. Tom Baker went in for his costume dress and he's like, "We're gonna cut this down, right?" And the director was like, "No, it looks good." That's how it was made. This
I
one.
walked into Salvation Army looking for some stuff for one of my kids, and I was like, they want me to dress up.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
This one. This one was handmade. That lovely woman. That's my mother. She made this one. This one was the first one, right? Okay. This one was the first one she made for me. Not that I don't love it. I love it to death. As you can see, it's stretched out and I've worn it for many, many, many years. But as I got older and I got much more of a perfectionist attitude, that wasn't good enough for me. So I tried, okay. So, yeah. So she taught me the basics. And guess what? I learned how to make my own. This one is my 8th. I have made 8 fourth Doctor scarves, and guess what? I've never been happy with them. I've got one that I still have, and that's the only one that I still have left that I made. The rest of them I either sold, or as people who saw the panel last year, I gave 3 of them away. Just like the jackets at the end of this one. I did trivia questions and I gave away some scarves. But Tom Baker was much more of a broad outfit, so to say. He had a red corduroy hunting jacket, an Argyle cardigan, just a regular old plaid shirt. He had a tie, not even tied around the shirt, he just had it around his neck. And then he had...
Ascot.
Yeah, the ascot. And then he had his scarf and fedora. Those are the 2 most, or maybe even 3 most notable things about him, was his curly hair, his scarf, and his fedora. And that's kind of a must if you want to dress as 4. Those 3 things. And the jelly babies. Oh, that's so cool.
Jelly baby. Would you like one?
You don't even have to ask me. I won't go.
And yes, they are jelly babies.
Oh, man, because I've been sick for a while. I don't want to contaminate the rest of them. These things are a lot better than the
And they kick gummy bears' butts. They are awesome.
I may start getting some, but it's
I love that.
there
I
are
like
a couple.
gummy bears, and these are awesome.
I mean, some of the original Doctors are easy to do, like the first Doctor and the second Doctor. They're pretty much just kind of regular, as much as I hate to say it, old people clothes. They just kind of wear black velvet jackets and some.
I saw some of his pictures. He had a black jacket on.
Yeah.
And I found this. And being a curvier girl, it's hard to find waistcoats that fit that aren't modern looking. And this was a lady's long sleeve flannel shirt that I converted into a waistcoat.
By the way, I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but if anybody either has questions or has any comments, stop me. Yes.
Okay, but you can add it to your
Yes.
Is it a functional button or a decorative button?
It is functional. I had to sew the button on, and then I had to re-iron the suit because it wasn't originally made for that button.
Did you like put like a little hole?
Yes, yes. I made a buttonhole, I sewed the edges, that way it wouldn't fray, and then I sent it to the cleaners, and they re-ironed it for me, and it worked perfect.
I also have a second question.
Okay.
I'm interested in cosplaying Captain Jack. And where I'm trying this coat.
We're talking about Harkness, right?
Yes.
Harkness,
That's the
all
only
right.
Captain Jack.
All right, Harkness is a bit easier next to his coat. His shirt was a regular old blue shirt. He had regular suspenders and regular suit pants. His outfit was pretty simple. Besides his coat is really hard to find. Mainly because the coat doesn't exist. They made it for the show. But you can find things that are similar. If you look online, they did have Navy trench coats for the Navy and for Navy officers for rainy days. They're not nearly as long as his, but they do cut off about right here. They've got the belt just like his does and the stripes on the shoulders. That would be a good place to start. Abby Shot, the coat making people that make the 11 and the 10 coats, they also make a Harkness replica coat. Abby Shot, it's ABBYSHOT. They have their own website, they're on eBay, and I believe they also have an Etsy page. They're pretty easy to find, or not easy to find. They're accommodating, but you can send in your own measurements and they'll make it just how you like it. Who else can I talk about? 6.
Oh boy.
Oh Lord. That coat. Oh man, Colin Baker hated that coat. He did. He originally wanted it to just be plain blue. And then he came in and they gave him a rainbow coat. And he was like, I hate this. I believe he did wear the blue coat one time in one episode. But, I mean, the doctors are basically easy to hit. And whatever you can't find that people make, I'm sure there's somebody on eBay or Etsy that can make it for you. And for instance, when it comes to 4, if you can't find somebody that makes a scarf, trust me, it is really easy to learn how to do this. It really is. It took me maybe a week tops to get it down, and then it took about another 2 weeks. And I'm not gonna say I'm a master at it, but I got a lot better. And I can't. Making it yourself is one of those gratifying things, because if you don't like the shade of the acrylic scarf, or somebody on Etsy is too expensive, or you can't afford it yourself, well, you can go to places like Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Hancock's, and you can pick up, I think it's 7 colors. You can pick up these 7 skeins of fabric for maybe $3 to $4 a piece, and you can start cranking these suckers out. I mean, I take a while because I'm a perfectionist, and I double stitch everything, and double stitching means you go this way, and that counts as 1. And this block right here is about 26 stitches. So I had to go front and back 26 times. It takes a while. It usually takes me about 2 months to do one. And I used to sell them, and then I got so many orders I couldn't keep up with them. So I had to stop. But I mean, I'm thinking about it. Maybe if I make a lot of them, like maybe 7 or 8, and make an Etsy shop, maybe I can sell them that way. But I can't do custom orders from scratch anymore. It just takes too long. Something else, there are a lot of little things you can wear and bring to be the Doctor. For instance, boom, TARDIS key. It's blank. It's a Yale key. You can get this at Home Depot. They're about $1, and it works perfect. It works.
Shrinky dink.
Also, yeah, you can make one yourself. It works really well. Yes.
Thank you.
I was gonna say that. I work my way around to the cheap things again. But one of the most iconic things that Tin has, he only wore it one time. his 3D glasses to see voidy stuff. That works. I mean, it makes you recognizable. What's something else?
Well, it's not just the 3D glasses, but the black room hipster type glasses. Like those, yeah. And I went into FYE in the mall and found a pair for $12.99.
Yeah.
They kind of did it on prescription, obviously.
As much as it may be silly, I have terrible eyesight. These are my actual glasses. And it just so happened that I happened to be doing 10 at the same time, so I asked if I could get rims like this. So, I mean, it works for me. A hard thing next to clothing to do with 10 specifically is that hair. His hair is really hard to recreate.
Yeah, my hair was curled up.
Yeah.
But the humidity kind of killed it.
Again, let's use this little guy as an example. It looks like that. It goes straight out next to his face. He's got sideburns for days and he's got eyebrows for days. But pretty much, I figured it out. I've done it for a long time. I figured out the secret. Pretty much all you have to do is you have to, 1, take a shower. 2, sleep on it. Wake back up. There's this stuff that, I mean, pretty much any kind of hair gel will work. And all you gotta do, I thought I dropped something, but pretty much all you have to do, you have to rustle it up. It doesn't matter what it looks like to begin with. If you rustle it up and it spikes out like Goku, don't worry about it. Then you pretty much work your way back. You put this down and you shoot it forward with your head down like this and you dry it. It works great. It works great for what you need it. It works great for my hair. Everybody's hair might be different, but it works great for me. Other things that you could possibly carry around that are cheap, something like this. This is a flight-controlled TARDIS toy, and it turned off. It lights up, it makes noise. It'd be hard to not know who you are if you're walking through the hallways going like this. Exactly. You spin it, it makes noise, it all comes out of the back. It takes maybe 2 or 3 batteries. You open the doors, it has the inside noises.
Girl version.
If you keep the TARDIS look, if you just keep that police box logo on you somewhere, people will know where you're from. That's the other staple from Doctor Who, is the TARDIS. It has never changed. It's always looked the same. It may have changed a bit in shape and size, but it has always looked the same. I think, if my memory corrects me correct, because I'm going to plan on building one of these suckers eventually, but I think it got wider and taller as the years went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think first through 4 had the same one, and 6 through 7 had one, 8 had one, and then 9 and 10 had one, and then 11 had his own. But they all got wider and bigger as the ages went down. And if you measure it up next to an actual London police box, it is a good 3 feet bigger than it should be.
Yeah. None of the TARDISes have ever been accurate to the box. They've always been something wrong.
Yeah, there's always been something a little off about it. But these things work great. They're cheap. They're about $20. Again, at Barnes & Noble, because they have a little Doctor Who table there. It's really cheap, easy. You know, it would be hard not to know who you are. There is the Pico. I didn't talk about the Pico, and I feel bad now. There's one thing that, because I forgot about it. Before I talk about the Pico, let's talk about something else. Hats. Fezzes, Stetsons, they're iconic to 11. I don't think 10 had very many hats, yes. He has a round ball on the top. He doesn't have tassels or anything, but he's got a little something on the top. Yeah, I mean, I think they had 2 different ones. There was one that they had for the Bing Bang that River shot, and that just had the circle on the top. And he had another one. I think in Day of the Doctor, and I think that one had something different on it.
People argue about it online, and then when I'm actually watching the episode, I'm too excited to that I'm actually watching Doctor Who and distracted by the actual episode. He's staring at his vest and checking.
I think you got something wrong going on here, man. Another good thing, if you're planning on making it yourself,
I get distracted every time.
there's a website called the Replica Prop Forum. It is full of really helpful people and tons of forums that can help you out when you need it. They can tell you where to find things, how to put things together. It's a really, really wonderful site, and I know a lot of really wonderful people on there.
Is that where you got the scarf pattern? You printed it out. Where'd you get the scarf pattern?
You can get that direct from BBC.
You can get the scarf pattern from BBC. You can take screen caps. You can get it off the RPF. But the site that I highly recommend the most is that all you have to do, and this is the easiest thing, and it made me laugh. It popped up the first time I searched for it because I started making these things myself and I wanted a pattern. I typed in Doctor Who scarf. There is a website called drwhoscarf.com. They have every pattern, inches, stitches, whatever you can need it in, meters. They have it in that too. In centimeters, you can get it in anything, and they have every pattern from season 12 to season 18. They have every variation of that scarf on there. It is the most helpful thing that you could have when you're making these scarves. And as a matter of fact, as I say that, it's deep down in my bag, but they're easy to print out. They're very easy to print out, and even if you don't do it in color, it is easy to recognize what the colors are. The colors, the base colors for the scarf, and you can just wing it from looking at the show, and I can pretty much guarantee it'll look pretty good anyway, because it's so distinguished, especially when it comes to the breakings. The base colors are purple, tan, brown, yellow, red. I mean, it's got green, gray, and it's got 7 colors, I think, or for the original. And I did tell a funny story, so I'm going to tell one about 4 on the scarf. It pleases me to say that the Fourth Doctor's original scarf still exists. It is hanging up in a museum in Boston. The original scarf is still around. It doesn't look like this because there was an episode of the Fourth Doctor's. It was supposed to be the last of season 17. It was called Shada. It was never aired on television. And that was the last screen appearance of the original scarf. The original scarf was attached to a stunt duplicate of it. It made it about 30 feet long. It wrapped around him twice and then dragged to the ground. And it's got patches on it, but that scarf is still around. So the original scarf still exists, and it's in Boston. Why it's not in London, I don't know. It's weird to me. But there are a bunch of different things about the scarf. There used to be a Madame Tussauds in the 80s in Cardiff, really close to where the Doctor Who experience is now, that had a wax dummy of Tom Baker. And he was, I think, he was standing up against a tree or something, and he was like this. And that scarf that his dummy wore was one that he wore in the show. That scarf and dummy is still around too. It's not there anymore because, you know, they eventually get rid of dummies at Madame Tussauds and switch them out with other ones. And the dummy's still around. His head's still up on the wall, as creepy as that might be. Just walking through Madame Tussauds and you see Tom Baker's face. Whoa. But that scarf is still around too. And another funny story, there was an episode called The Five Doctors. And it was one of the first times that more than one of the Doctors got together on screen. I know that there was another episode before that called the Three Doctors, and it was the first 3. And this one was up to 5. Tom Baker couldn't make it. Funny story, whenever they did promo shots of all 5 Doctors together in K9, they used that dummy from Madame Tussauds as Tom Baker's stand-in. And so it's actually Peter Davidson and John Pertwee, and they're all standing there. And then there's just that wax dummy in the middle on John Pertwee's shoulder, just like it is in the show. They're in Madame Tussauds, and I was like, that doesn't look like Tom Baker. I found out it's not. And then there's other promo images of the other 4 doctors messing with the dummy, and it's really funny. But when it comes to being thrifty, especially when it comes to this show, it's the main things are Goodwill. You know, if Goodwill doesn't work for you, Salvation Army can work. Etsy is really good for tweed jackets. The first tweed jacket he wore was a Harris tweed jacket. All you have to do is type in Harris tweed jacket. eBay, Etsy, there are tons of good options for you. And you know, if you can't find it anywhere you'd like or anywhere that's cheap enough, try making it yourself. All right, so that's really good timing. I guess since I was just told I have about 10 to 15 minutes left, I'm gonna go ahead and do trivia for these jackets. Oh, that was mine. I can always tell which one's mine because mine are the only ones that have the elbow pads. But, all right. Sorry if I treat them a little poorly. What?
I was trying to help you to tell you which side of the one. Because your jackets were on the left. One's area and your boy were on the right.
All right. But I've got this one. This one is much more textured than the others. This one, Harris tweed, just like his actual one. This one would be great for an 11 costume. It's got a vent in the back, just like his did and everything. All right. You gotta think. Unfortunately, I didn't write really good trivia questions down, but I watched it so much, I could probably think of good ones. All right. Okay, I got one. The 10th Doctor had an episode, one of the first episodes ever to show and reappear a companion from the past. What was the name of that episode? Anybody? There was 2.
Bad Wolf.
Oh,
You're talking about where?
here. I'll make it. That was poor word choice. It was in season 2.
Yeah, I remember it. I just got through watching it. It's where the thing on her back. I don't remember the name of the episode, but it was where Donna went into she went into the seer, and she had the thing on her back, and she went to the alternate universe. Actually, right before that, it was the star. I remember. It was the Oedipus episode. What was that?
Not the one I was thinking of. I'm talking about the one with Sarah Jane.
School.
I see a hand. School reunion. That is the episode. You may come and claim your prize. It is most gracious. Okay. That was a bit harder than I thought. I know you knew it. Sarah Jane's your favorite. This one has a very good pattern on it. And so does this one. They have pretty much the exact same pattern to each other. Except this one's just a bit lighter. Alright, so I'm going to do this one next. This one doesn't have a vent in the back like his does, though. But, I mean, that can be easily ratified. You know, you can easily cut it and whip stitch it or anything to make a vent in the back. But, alright, let me think of another good one. Another one. How many versions of K9 is there? There's more than 3. Four? No.
No, it was like
More than 4.
more than 4. It's like
There is indeed 7.
I was close. There are 7.
Mom's putting me on the spot.
Tom Baker built 3 canines. 1 fell in a boat in one of the episodes where he was fencing a Duke. He fell in the boat when he made a raft, and that was canine version 2. The other 2 blew up on different alien planets. 4 went to Sarah Jane when she left, and 5 and 6, 5 he kept, but eventually stopped working. 6 went with Romana when she left the TARDIS, and 7 is actually just the refurbished 4 that went with Sarah. So there are 7. This was the last one. This one is like the other one, got the same pattern. This one has the vent in the back. The only downside about this one, when I got it at Goodwill, it had a hole in it. It looked like moths got to it, but I mean, that is also easily fixed with a patch. I mean, you could probably take it apart from the inside and put it on the collar and match up the pattern. It'd be pretty easy to fix. All right, let's see. Okay, I got one. In the episode, Let's Kill Hitler, with 11, when the Doctor's dying inside of the TARDIS and he asks for help, how many different companions does he see? Yes, technically, yes, there is 3. I wouldn't count young Amy as a companion. But, yes, he sees Rose, Martha, Donna, all in that order, and he feels guilty about every single one. And young Amy is the one who saves him from dying. So, that is about it. I can't stress enough that Goodwill, Etsy, all these sites that are very thrifty and very vintage are your best friend when it comes to doing this. And if you can't do it yourself, I would suggest making it yourself. What?
There are at least 4 or 5 Goodwills in this area.
Oh yeah.
So you can always just search around. There's one in Sydney and Collierville. There's one around Summer.
Yeah, there's thrift stores everywhere. You got Park Avenue, Bargain Hunt. I'm a thrift store-aholic, I tell you.
Oh yeah.
But the only one I don't like is Salvation Army.
Yeah, no, they're too expensive.
They seem so desperate there.
It's like buying bread.
Seems like a very good consensus here.
Right out of the store. What you talking about? Horrible.
But, as it pains me to say, that about brings this panel to an end. So, thank you all so much for coming and listening to this show. If you see me in the hallway and you think of a different question that you couldn't ask here, you couldn't remember, and you want to ask me, feel free to stop me and ask me. I'm more than welcome to answer questions. So, thank you all again for coming out, and I really appreciate seeing you all.